You're listening to LA40 with Katerina Cozias, only on LA Talk Radio.
All right. Good morning, Los Angeles. Good afternoon, East Coast. And good evening, Europe. I'm Katerina Cozias, your host here with LA40, broadcast on our LA Talk Radio and Television Network. You are with us on Thursday, as always. And today, I am especially excited because not only is our guest somebody that you should know about if you don't know about him already, but he is a friend and, in fact, the publisher of my book. So we are going to be delving deep into a bunch of very, very, very fun topics today, including how do you become an author, and when you become an author, what in the heck do you write about? Well, our special guest today is Mr. Keith Leon S. He is the founder of Leon Smith Publishing, and also the author of the new book, Walking with My Angels. Keith is a best-selling author, speaker, and, as I mentioned, book publisher. He has published countless books over his 15-plus year career, and he is with us today to talk about how he was motivated to move into this field, and more importantly, tell us about his project and why you want to tune in, because we are all blessed by the guidance of angels. And I know that many of you already know that. If you don't, I'd invite you to stay tuned with us, because Keith is going to talk about how and where and why this can be possible for you. What I love about Keith is he is not some woo-woo guy that's smoking hemp on the on the California coastline. He is a businessman, and a very successful one at that, who recognizes that there is more to life than what we see, feel, smell, hear, and touch. And he's here to share that with us. So, Keith, are you on the phone?
I am here.
Excellent. Well, I thank you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It is always a pleasure to spend time with one of my favorite, totally successful, best-selling authors. That would be you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. I know that you're calling us from Vermont this morning, which is great. That's the beauty of having digital television, is that we can patch people in from not only all over the country, but all over the world. So thank you for being with us today from Vermont.
It's my absolute pleasure to be here with you today. Hello, everyone.
Yes, absolutely. Keith, you have a new book out that I am so excited to share with the world. I know that you're excited to share with the world. The title is captivating. It's called Walking with My Angels.
Yeah, Walking with My Angels, a true story by Keith Leon. And I love what you said. You know, you got to keep in mind, I'm not like long-haired dashiki with the joint hanging out of my mouth right now.
Right.
Right? I am a successful author, speaker, speak all over the world, best-selling author. And so I'm kind of the least likely candidate for writing a book called Walking with My Angels. But sure enough, I wrote it, and I'm officially out of the Angel Club.
Well, you know what I love about that, Keith, is as you're talking, I'm getting goosebumps. Because what I'm coming to recognize as well is that there is so much truth to understanding that there is something called guidance. And whether we call it source, God, infinite intelligence, our higher selves, if we take the time to tap into that and listen, it can guide us towards the life that we want to live. And it has guided you towards the life that you wanted to live and are currently living. So what I'd love for you to do is share a little bit with our audience your personal story and what led you to the writing and releasing of this book.
Wow. We'll see how fast I can tell this.
It's a good story, folks. It's a good story.
Where it started with is what seems like 100 years ago. My wife and I wrote a book called The 7 Steps to Successful Relationships. And we got John Gray, the #1 guy of all time, to endorse our book.
Now, John Gray, for those of you who don't know, was the author of Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, which blew up 20 years ago. Yeah, so that was probably a big coup to get John Gray to endorse your relationship book.
Right. You would think that would be a game changer, but it absolutely was not, because I had no idea that I could get free press. I had no idea that that was my ticket to larger stages. I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know how to market it. I knew how to do nothing. I just thought that book was going to fly off the shelf, and because we had John Gray's endorsement, and it didn't even fall off the shelf, let alone fly off the shelf. It wasn't until the second book that I wrote called Who Do You Think You Are? Discover the Purpose of Your Life. That book I did completely different. I put away my plan of anything that I thought I should do, and every morning I would just go to prayer and meditation and ask a question: what is my next step? And I would just wait until I got the answer. And one time I waited for 2 days and heard nothing, but I would just wait. And then I just kept hearing this voice telling me what to do and whispering in my ear and telling me what to do. And so I just followed everything that I was told to do, and it was completely the opposite. I had an international bestseller. I had 10 people from the movie The Secret in that book, and everybody else are people you would know. And I ended up on the other end of that project with the 3 mentors that I had wanted for most of my life, and especially since I saw the movie The Secret. And I was on, speaking in front of 1,000 people instead of 20, and I was on TV and radio, and so a complete about face because I decided to tune in.
Now, I want to pause you there for a moment, because you tuned in and you heard something really that was quite bold. People may have just missed this, but I do want to focus on it. You heard guidance that said, write this book, this new book, and go out and speak to and interview the thought leaders of the day around this term, living into your purpose, who were a lot of the players and the contributors to the movie The Secret. This had to be a little bit of a bold move, Keith, because you're sort of, I don't mean it the wrong way, but at the time you were a little Mr. Nobody, knocking on the door of some of these big guys saying, hey, can I sit down with you? What reception did you get from them?
Right, exactly. I went from Keith who to the book guy in 9 months, which is crazy. But the reception I got was incredible, because one of the things that I downloaded, and that's the word I used, from just one, I would ask a question, I wouldn't know something, and then all of a sudden, something would drop in, and I would just know the answer. So downloaded it, and a lot of that was like how would I ask these people to be in this book? Because I had asked people in the past to help me, but I was needy, and so I failed. So I said, how will I ask these people? And then I downloaded a process that I now call an elevator email, and it was exactly how to ask. And it just came through, like poured out of me, and I wrote it down. And then I did that, and then I would immediately follow up, which they told me to do, immediately follow up with a phone call and say, hey, I just sent an email with the subject line this. Can you open that up? Okay, as you can see, I'm asking for an interview. It's 3 questions, 10 minutes, we're in and out. And I'm going to put them in this book, and and I've already got Jack Canfield said yes, and Bob Proctor. And then once I got a few yeses from people I had already established a relationship with that were from The Secret, then that just opened the door, and everybody started saying yes. So I started calling it the Yes Project, because I asked 80 people to be in the book. 68 said yes. 12 said no, but 10 of those were the publicist, because they didn't want my book coming out the same exact time as their superstar. That would
be a little bit of a conflict, right? Exactly.
Yeah. So out of 80, I only got 2 no's, and that's just because those 2 people didn't want to be vulnerable, didn't want to share as much as I was asking them to share in the book. So really, I got 80 yeses, which is mind-blowing.
Well, you know what I love, and what I want to highlight here for you was you did the original book. It didn't meet the expectations that you had. And instead of failing and saying, oh my goodness, I must suck as an author, let me go back to my day job, you said, okay, let me see what I can do differently. Let me see what I can do better. Let me see how I can expand as an individual so that I can grow into the person that I need to become, so that I can add the value that really I'm supposed to be adding. And so that's really what I love about what you've done. What you've managed to do together with your wife is create one of the top publishing companies in the country, with various ways that people can publish books, and we're going to get into that a little bit later. But what I'd love for you to do now, Keith, because you have become the yes guy, is talk to us a little bit about this particular book, because you should have died 8 times. You got spoken to about 30 years ago. You were told by angels that you were going to write a book that is intended to change the paradigm around how society views this connection with the divine. And now you've done that. So, yes, share that story.
Again, how quickly can I snapshot this? Really, since I was a child, I could hear my guardian angel's voice. So if your children are talking about their imaginary friend, it may not be their imaginary friend. Okay, I'm just going to tell you that right now. I could hear my guardian angel's voice, and many of the times that I should have died, I should have been molested, like all these things could have happened, but did not, because my angel told me what to do to get out of these situations. And so I heard my guardian angel from as long as I could remember till I was about 8, and that's when my mother, who was already like manic depressive, met a man. They married really fast, and then he got killed 5 days after the wedding. And when I was 8, she looked at me and said, "I need you to be the man of the house." And so I took that on wholeheartedly. Wasn't a child anymore, and the more that I tried to be grown up, the less and less I heard my angel. Mm-hmm. And so in my early 20s, when I was really in my deep, dark drug, hit almost bottom stage, I was bartending, and I met this man who was very quiet, very mysterious, hardly ever said anything, but when he did, people leaned in and they were listening. And I found him so fascinating that I asked him if he wanted to hang out after work. And so we hung out after work. Eventually, after I got to know him, I had a ring on that was my stepfather's, the one who had passed away. He asked if he could see that ring, and he put it in his hand, and he did what's called a life review and told me everything about my childhood. And there was no Google back then, so there's no way he could have known this stuff. So that started to open me a little bit. I was like, wow, well, at least this guy's got something, right? So I started to really trust him. We got to be friends, and eventually he said, do you trust me? I mean, wholeheartedly trust me? And I said, yeah. He said, well, I guess it's time for me to tell you. Tell me what? Well, people call earthbound angel people that help them and do good deeds. Yeah, that's not really what an earthbound angel is. Someone is an angel that's in the flesh, and we are sent to save certain people from dying before their predetermined expiration date, because they're here to do big things. And if they die before their predetermined expiration date, it has a not so great effect on the planet. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And, he told me that he was going to work with me and take me from believing in nothing to believing in everything. At one point, he would reveal my purpose to me, and that he would save my life, and then I would have to let him go because he'd be off to do it for someone else.
Wow!
And so the book really, the heart of it, touches on that time, like all the experiences with him. How did he take me from believing in nothing to everything? How did he reveal my life purpose? How did he save my life? What path did he put me on that I've been living into ever since that day to right now? And ultimately, I was told I would write this book, and what that is about, you touched on already. So,
well, what I love. So first of all, thank you for sharing that. This is the second time in the last 10 minutes you've given me goosebumps, Keith. So there is definitely some truth to what you're sharing. I was also wondering, if you were looking around for the tequila while this guy was telling you all this the first time you met him, because a lot of it, especially back then, I believe that society is opening up to an exploration of conscious conversation, empowering conversation, and conversation around really aligning with vision and truth. But I'm sure that wasn't necessarily the case 25 years ago. This was probably an awkward conversation.
He told me not to tell anybody that they'd be fitting me for a straitjacket and getting me some meds if I did.
Now, what I find interesting, Keith, is you've written a number of books in between. So why now? Why this book now?
Well, I was also told in this out-of-body experience, that's when my purpose was revealed to me in an out-of-body experience. I was told that I would write this book, and that I would be prompted and told when to do it, and also told a lot of other things. So all the people that I've published, all the people that I've helped to write their books, was all part of that, not only to help you get your mission and message out to the world, but so that when this book came out, everybody would step up and be willing to tell their folks about it. So because of all the people that I've worked with and all the work that I've done myself, writing books and joint venture partnerships and radio interviews and speaking all over the world, there should be nowhere on the planet that you are when this book comes out that you don't hear about it. And so I just waited and waited and waited and waited and waited to be told it was time to write this book. And the book really starts off with that. A few years ago, I was hiking with a dear friend up here in Vermont, and she's a coach, and she's like, "When are you going to write that angel book?" And I said, "Yeah, when am I?" And she said, what? I said, excuse me, sorry, that wasn't for you. That was for them. Right? And we kept hiking, and then I heard, it's time. And I was like, time for the book? She's like, what? I'm like, just a second. And they're like, yes, it's time for the book. And I was like, yes! So I thanked her for asking that question, and finally it was time. So I cranked that book out like in 9 days, right? It really was 3 books that we ended up turning into one. But I cranked it out in 9 days, and then I thought, okay, now we're going to launch this thing. And then they kept telling me to wait and wait and wait. So it's been a couple of years now.
Oh, wow.
And so August 20th, 2019 is the
Launch
best date with numerologists. You know, they told me to find the top numerologist in the world and set the date. And so that numerologist did every chart humanly known to man, you know, and said this is the perfect date to launch. Well, and so over all these years, I was frustrated because it was taking so long, because that was the human me going, come on already, right? But the gift is what you just said. There has never been a time when people needed to hear some good news than right now. And there's never been a time where people were open to this conversation than now. I mean, I asked a room full of people, 100 people, how many people believe in angels? 98 raised their hand. I said, the 2 that didn't raise their hand, are you open to the possibility that they exist? And they raised their hand. That's 100% enrollment, Katerina. And what subject in the world can you get 100% enrollment right now? It was just, it's mind-blowing to me.
You know what I love, Keith, is, you and I had the opportunity to meet a few years back, and what I loved about what you and Mira do, your wife, is that you come from an energy of collaboration. And what I'm noticing right now, collectively, universally around the world, is, we really are stepping into a new paradigm around how people are supposed to operate. And in my opinion, it's moving from that harsh, negative, competitive, scarcity, anxiety, stressful model to something that more and more of us are recognizing can be co-creative, not only with the divine, but with each other, can be collaborative, can be cooperative, can be creative. And what I really resonated with when I met you was that energy that you were emitting. Now, because of that, when I decided to become an author, I thought, well, who would I like to work with to help publish my book? I know nothing about books. I know nothing about being an author. I know nothing about the distribution of them. But wait a second, Keith does. And I have to say that the entire process working with you and your team was nothing but fantastic. And my book, Rising Up from Mental Slavery, How to Unleash Your Infinite Potential, is only one of the many books around empowering conversation that your team has published. And so having stepped into and onto the path that you have stepped on and into, not only are you now in a position to really share your personal wisdom, but look at all the people whose personal wisdom you have been able to share up till now. So I want to say a big, big thank you to you for that support and for really being a leader in this space for so many of us. And I'm so excited about you and your book, because you have a national tour coming up. Yeah,
it's exciting. And one thing that you touched on kind of at the beginning when you were talking is, I call them angels, but you who are listening right now may call it gut feeling, instinct, inner guidance. Angels, spirit, God, like, it doesn't matter what you call it as long as you call it. It doesn't care what you call it as long as you call it. But we do need to ask for the guidance when it comes to guardian angels. Like, they only have 2 jobs: love you unconditionally, get you to your predetermined expiration date. That's it. Anything else, because we have free will, we have to ask. So when we invite them and say, hey, will you support me with this? Then they can get to work for you. And once you put a focus there, then you'll get that support. So today's the last day, actually, of the Indiegogo campaign that I set up on Indiegogo, and just raising some money for the tour. Perfect. And there are a lot of perks that you can get on there. You can get the ebook.
I was going to say, we have that link, so we're going to put that link up for our viewers to have a look at.
Yeah.
Click that link, and that will give you the opportunity to get involved with Keith and this project in a number of different ways. Can you let us know, Keith, how people can get involved in helping you with your mission that really ultimately is helping all of us?
Yeah. Just you go to that page and then you click on the perks. Like if you click where it says $25 perk and you click it, it'll open all of those up and tell you what all you get. So it's really just you're supporting the campaign and then you get cool stuff. So you can get the ebook now, the PDF, before the rest of the world gets to read it in August, or the next perk is a bundle of ebooks. So that's a whole bunch of our awesome authors who said, oh yeah, you can give my book away to support this project. There's tickets to my live events because I'll be coming to your hometown, all the way to executive producer credits in the documentary film that we'll be shooting.
So you're going to be shooting a documentary film around the tour, around the sharing and spreading of this message, which is something that I really love. You are an experienced speaker. This is the first time you're going to go on a year-long tour. And tell me how that feels, sort of stepping into that, even a bigger leadership role than you've been in.
Yeah, it feels amazing to know that I'm just going to be able to touch lives and connect with people all over the country because we're going to be doing 2 different live events in each major city all across the country. One day will be a book event, and Saturday, and then Sunday will be an angel event. And so whether you want to write books or you like angels, one day each, or if you like both, then we'll be spending the weekend together.
Tell me a little bit about the angel part of this, because the book part most people can understand. What do we get on day 2, the angel part?
Day 2. Well, I'm going to be really teaching people how to do angel evocation. How do I get the support of my angels? And we'll be working with some processes to let go of stuff, and it's really going to be unlike anything you've experienced, because I also happen to be a singer, a well-established musician. So there'll be music, there'll be video, there'll be process, there'll be stories that weren't in the book that you get to hear, right? More stories, angel stories, and really introducing you to ways that you can get support from your inner guidance system and have it show up for you, and ways to ask that you can get the same results that I got. I was taught a process that I did in my sleep. So I was even working when I was asleep and getting answers while I was sleeping.
In the state of brainwaves, yes.
Yeah, so I'll be teaching all of that. So and it'll be different at each angel event, because unlike when I do other things like the book thing, each day on Sunday I'll be really tuning into what does the room need and what do the people need. So I'll have sort of a plan, right? And I'll have things that I do as a go-to, but it's really going to be more about the energy in the room and what those who are showing up that are willing to participate and raise their hand and ask for what they want, and then we'll work with that energy. So
I really appreciate that, Keith, for 2 reasons. Number one, having sat in the audience during conferences, seminars, conventions, one of the quickest ways to turn me off is to have a preset PowerPoint presentation that the speaker is up there just reading off of. And number 2, as a speaker myself, what I really have come to recognize is my preference is, yes, let's build the skeleton around what the talk in general is going to be, but there is so much more power in allowing ourselves as speakers to feel the energy of the room, which is what you just said, and to tap into and to allow our angels, our guides, source to guide us to share what it is that the crowd actually needs. I'm invited to be speaking on the Think and Grow Rich tour, which is happening right now across the country. They're going to 12 cities nationally and then expanding into a 3-year international tour. And one of the organizers a few weeks back when we were chatting, asked me, can you send through your PowerPoint presentation? And I wrote exactly that back. I said, I don't do PowerPoint anymore. I haven't for years, because I really recognize that so many of us are intuitive and that we should tap into what is required. And if we allow the floodgates to open, we will be guided with the right words. And so I have no doubt that every stop for you is going to have its own magic.
Yes. It'll be amazing.
Yes. So with respect to outlining the cities and the dates, have you determined that yet, or is that still in process?
Still working on that with my with my PR lady,
Okay.
who's amazing. And I've been calling up people like Bob Proctor and John DeMartini and saying, "Hey, will you be in my film?" And they're like, "Yes." So it's just been amazing.
Well, and I know that
Maybe
Jack Canfield wrote the foreword for your book. Jack Canfield, for those of you who may not be familiar, is the author, one of the co-authors of Chicken Soup for the Soul, together with Mark Victor Hansen. And so to have him forwarding your book is also really lovely. I like that, Keith. Good job.
Yeah.
I mean, you've been
It's
friends
amazing.
with Jack for years, though.
Yeah, but and even though we've been friends for years, when he said yes, I'll do this forward, I still got wet eyes because that's just something special. You know what I mean? There's just when somebody says that, you know, that you're just like, thank you, because he rarely does a forward for anyone. So
I have a question for you, and I'd be curious to get your take on this. It's a question I often ask, and I ask it of myself, I ask it of the audience, I ask it of my guests. Do you believe that we determine our destiny, or does destiny determine us?
We're in co-creation with the universe, so even if there isn't something that's predetermined, it can always be changed based on our ability to co-create with the universe. So,
and you touched on the
what
word
we say,
free will.
what we think, everything creates. And so we just really have to be careful what we say, because it comes true, but only 100% of the time. If we really kept a log on everything that we said, we would see that it all came true every time at some point. Sometimes really fast, sometimes it takes a while, but it does come true every time. So we're co-creators of everything that we have in our lives.
Absolutely. If people want to follow you and follow the tour, aside from the Indiegogo slide and website that we flashed a little bit earlier, where else can they look for you? Should they go to a personal website? Should they go to the company website? If they want to find out your tour dates, where should they follow you?
Well,
or are you a Facebook, Instagram kind of guy?
On Facebook, I have a Walking with My Angels. If you type that in, Walking with My Angels, I have a page there. If you go to our website, you know, I'll be keeping up there. It's not there yet, but we're going to build that out.
And the website being Leon Smith Publishing?
Yeah, Leon Smith Publishing. Exactly.
Excellent. Any parting words for the audience, Keith, with all the inspiration that you have? You know, I can feel, I can literally, and I'm asking you folks at home as well, can you feel the lightness emitting from Keith? I can feel it through the audio, Keith.
Thank you. Yeah, just really quick, for those who would love to write a book, but you just haven't started doing it, or you got locked up, if you go to bakeyourbooknow.com, bakeyourbooknow.com, we have a home study course that can support you. And if you put in BYB, which stands for Bake Your Book, and the word and the letters numbers $4.95 after that, BYB $4.95, then you get a considerable discount on that home study course for listening today. And if you go to youspeakitbooks.com, you can find out more about a process where you can write a book without writing one single word. Woohoo! All you have to do is speak it. So You Speak It Books. My parting words are always the same wherever I go, ever since Who Do You Think You Are, that book came out, and that is that you make a difference in this world. This world would not be the same without you. People assume that we know that we've touched their lives, and so they forget to tell us. But every hello, every hug, all the things that you're doing throughout the day, just being you, are touching lives and sometimes saving a life. You don't even know that you said hello to somebody walking by them, and you saved their life, because they were going to kill themselves that day because they thought nobody saw them. But the fact that you saw them and said hello sent them into a different way of thinking, and they realized, if that person sees me, who else sees me? And maybe people would miss me if I took my life today. You could have saved a life today just by saying hello. So for all the people who forgot to tell you that you make a difference in this world, I want to tell you right now, you make a difference, and thank you for being the gift of you.
Well, we thank you for being the gift that you are. Thank you for gifting the world with your new book, Walking with My Angels. Folks, I would highly recommend you jump over to that website and you get yourself on the pre-publishing list. You want to have this book in your hands, because it will be blowing up over the winter. It will give you the opportunity to really delve into the wisdom that Keith shares and apply it to your life. What is it that you're doing or maybe not doing yet that perhaps you should be doing that can be of service and value to another individual, as Keith just mentioned? Keith, thank you for all of your service and value. We wish you so much good luck with this tour. I am excited to purchase your book and to support you any way I can. Big thank you, and big congratulations. Much success to you.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure.
Thank you for joining us. Take care now.
You got it.
Okay, bye-bye.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Nope, I just muted myself, folks. And there you have it, Mr. Keith Leon. He is the publisher and author of the book, Walking with My Angels, my publisher as well, a friend of mine, and a really fantastic all-around person. He is inviting all of us to step into further conversation with our guides, our angels, and our purpose, vision, and real genuine truth. As always, this is my truth. Katerina Cozias here for LA Talk Radio and TV, LA40, and we will see you again next Thursday. Take care. Bye-bye.
You're listening to LA40 with Katerina Cozias, only on LA Talk Radio.